Good afternoon, everybody. Nick Thompson, vet here. We're starting a new series here, and we're going to be talking about light. We're going to be shedding light on all sorts of interesting, various topics. Shining light where you never thought light would shine, and and we're going to take a gentle stroll through stuff. We're going to chuck in some science as well, because the science is absolutely mind-blowing. It's pretty obvious, actually, that the sun is the source of all life. So the fact that we are photoreactive and we benefit from light shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Today I've got Yaz, who is a beacon of light in the north. She's treating pets, mainly dogs, I think.
Yes.
With the Photizo biomodulation unit, and I'm going to pick your brains, if I may, Yaz. But first of all, let's just who are you and what do you do?
So I'm Yaz Porritt. Thank you for the introduction, Nick. And I run a dedicated canine pain management centre in West Yorkshire. So I deal only with painful dogs, but particularly painful dogs who have complex behavioural needs. So my specialty very much lies in pain management. But a part of that, I also talk a lot about nutrition. That's how we know each other. Yeah. But it's mainly pain management where I spend most of my time now. I'm also an applied herbal choices consultant as well, which kind of feeds into the work that I do. And Photizo is something I've had in my clinic for as long as I've been a practitioner. So that's 7 years I've been using Photizo for.
Oh, that's amazing. So, and what sort of cases do you see?
It's a lot of musculoskeletal arthritis or new diagnoses of your most common conditions: hip dysplasia, luxating patella, elbow dysplasia, few neurological cases as well. I tend to leave the neuro cases more to the physios, but when it comes to pain management with neurological cases, that's where I can kind of come in. But it's I kind of found my niche working with the dogs who basically don't want to be touched. So pain is both a physical and emotional experience. And, a dog doesn't understand the concept of coming for a massage. They just take things as they are. So if I've got a dog that is struggling to be touched because they are holding past trauma, that could be from a vet visit, a bad experience at the groomers, an aversive, training style, anything like that, they'll hold on to that trauma. So how on earth do they know which hands are safe and which ones aren't? So that's where I come in, rebuilding that relationship with touch. And one of the ways I do that is using Photizo and bathing. Just bathing with Photizo light.
And how did you come across it in the first place? Because it's not, I mean, if you're a non-vet therapist and you're just itching to help dogs with pain, it wouldn't be the first thing that comes to mind. So take me through your psychology when you first came across it. Was it, I don't believe it? Or was
Correct.
it, that sounds cool, let's have a look? Or just take me through those first few weeks of your thought process.
So when the first time I came across Photizo was actually in Animal Therapy magazine. And I think, if I remember correctly, it was before I'd even qualified. So it was whilst I was training. Saw an advert for Photizo. And then it was when I was qualified. So there's like this thing, right? I've qualified now. What bits of equipment can I get to make it look a bit better? So it's not just me and my hands, okay? So I was like, I'll have a look at this Photizo. And I was like, 320 quid, what a bargain. I'm Yorkshire through and through, right? And these big, bulky kind of laser machines, they're thousands. They're absolutely thousands. So I was like, what I'll do, I'll get a Photizo first, and then I'll save up my money, and then I'll get a big boy laser. And I never got a big boy laser. I just kept getting more Photizos. I've got 5.
Got 5, so you can do one leg and head at the same time.
I've got dogs. If they'll tolerate it, I will have all of the Photizos on the go. at the
Oh
same
wow.
time.
Oh wow.
But it's a mixture. So I brought my Photizos with me. I've got my silent Photizo. So for dogs that are noise sensitive, this is really important, and how we desensitize that dog to the Photizo kind of coming near them. But for dogs who aren't noise sensitive, I've got more of the devices that make a beep, which is very handy when you're working because it reminds you, it's an auditory reminder, turn that back on. But with
Yeah.
the silent one, you just have to kind of like keep an eye on it, and
Yeah,
then it'll
because it's
remind you to do the dosage.
because one treatment, one dose, if you like, is about 30 seconds, and it gives a hell of a bang relative to many of the other products that I've looked at on the
Mm-hmm.
market. It's
Yes.
remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's from my looking, it's a bit of a fire hose. It delivers light like a fire hose, whereas some of the other thing, and I'm not saying they might be great products,
Mm-hmm.
but the Photizo, as far as I can see, just whacks those photons in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important, but especially with dogs. I mean, they do a human one and what have you. I'm not just sitting here to advertise this. I'm just going through the physics of it,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
What
Well,
I'm
the way.
saying
Sorry, go
is,
on.
no, what I'm saying is especially with dogs and also people, because they get sick of it. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, no, I'm sick of it. I'll go and watch Coronation Street.
Mm-hmm.
But what? So having like a really intense, short-lived delivery of those the photons, that energy, that light energy, is really important, and that's one of the major benefits of the Photizo in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So, what sort of cases do you use Photizo? Just give us your favorite cases
My
where you
favourite
like
cases.
where you see some where you see the most obvious. Yeah, because subtle, it's like, oh, you making a few
Mhm.
changes and what have you. But what are the things that really stand out for you?
So one of the things that I really like is the behavioural aspects of the Photizo. So
Yeah,
dogs hold no bias towards it. They're just like, it either works for them or it doesn't.
yeah,
And with the dogs that I work with, we're working with dogs that have got active bite history. We've got human aggression. All of it's communication. And
yeah,
I will work with any dog, right?
yeah,
That's painful. And with the Photizo, so especially the ones that are touch sensitive, I'm thinking of a dog that comes to see me. He's only recently started coming to see me, and he's got steroid responsive meningitis, and he's had subcutaneous calcinosis. So it's like this thickening of the skin,
yeah,
which is because he's on the steroids that he has to be on to.
yeah,
Very, very complex dog, and I think he's hypermobile, and we've likely got musculoskeletal pain. So when he came in, so he's a Staffy cross,
yeah,
and Staffies, they want to be around people. They're really busy and fizzy. This dog is spooky around people. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So he's obviously very painful. We've got a lot of behavioural stuff going on there.
yeah,
So we start the session with some free work. So my clinic is just covered in cardboard and things for him to tear up and snuffle out and things like that. And I just start with the silent Photizo, just bathing him, and then I'll slowly kind of creep closer to him whilst mum's giving him some sweets. He knows exactly where I am. And then I get to a certain threshold, but I have this amazing video. So I start, so say this is his back. So
yeah,
I'm working on an angle so he can just see me out the corner of his eye. And I'll start with the Photizo this far away with bathing. And then once he's stopped kind of like looking at me out of the corner of his eye, I went a little bit closer because his proprioceptive bulb was so big because he's painful, which is normal. And then contact for 3 seconds, back off. He looks, checks back in with his mum. So I have a thing where they build agency and consent into the session. So if they
yeah.
look at me, I stop.
Good.
And if they're looking away, so we carried on. And then it just started that he was allowing me to move the Photizo. And I said, okay, I've been given permission for this area. I'm just going to bathe with the Photizo and see if he'll allow hands-on touch. Now, it took us 2 sessions to get to that point, but we got to that point.
Yeah, that's
The
amazing. It's lovely
journey
to
is so
hear.
important.
It's lovely to see that you're actually having a conversation with them, as opposed to saying, "Right, you're going to have this, matey.
Mm-hmm.
Off we go."
Yeah.
It's really lovely to hear that. How long? So, how long did it take you to work out that that was the way to do it, rather than just say, "Right, here you're in for your session. You got 25 minutes. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am."
I think so. The way that I was trained was always massage in response to behavioural cues, and
Right.
that was kind of the foundations of my training. But there was still an element of, people are paying for a service. You gotta massage the dog at some point, and it
Sure.
was
Sure.
just as I gained clinical experience, I realised actually if the dog isn't emotionally on board with what you're doing, physically the tissue is not going to respond the
Yeah.
same. We know that tissue and fascia
Yeah.
holds physical and emotional trauma as well. So we
Yeah.
have to go at the pace of the dog, but usually on average, 2 to 3 sessions, I'm hands on with that dog. It doesn't mean that I've got permission to touch everywhere on the body, but I work with what I've got and we just
Yeah.
gently test out other areas. But the Photizo, it kind of, when I first bought it, I didn't realize the capabilities that it had. I knew what it did. So obviously, photobiomodulation. We're working with the mitochondria, nice cone beam, yada yada yada. Dogs don't have to wear goggles. Yeah, brilliant, excellent. But the thing, this Photizo, still now, after working with it for over 7 years, still absolutely blows my mind what it can do. So another case I'm thinking of, I have a beautiful amputee Doberman called Dorian, who's just
Mm.
absolutely delicious. Obviously, we're dealing with chronic pain all the time. We're dealing with phantom limb pain. Not that his GP vet believes me, but anyway, I'll keep going on about it. And he got a pressure sore in his foot, which is very, very common in amputees. But pressure sores, if we don't kind of nip them in the bud pretty quickly, we
Uh-huh.
can then potentially spiral into bigger issues that ultimately, I hate to say it, but they can lead to PTS because if we've already got, one leg missing, if there's only so many that can keep going on. So I was like, ooh, okay. I was like, so it's because we're shifting, how we bear our weight, right? Okay. So I said, this is the protocol I want you to do. And it's a protocol I've wrote about. It's a protocol that's in the latest issue of Animal Therapy magazine. So
Oh.
it was using Lucillin to flush the area,
Right.
then apply 3 doses an inch away, and then pack it with French green clay.
Very
And
nice.
that wound healed in 12 days. And we've got a picture, kind of like chronological order of that wound healing. 12 days in
That's
an
really,
amputee. How insane is that?
that is beyond your what you'd expect.
Yeah.
In a non-healing wound. That's really, really nice. And that kind of brings us into the idea that if you're using light, it makes tissue happy,
Oh,
and
100%.
it doesn't matter whether that is skin, aka healing,
Mm-hmm.
or whether that is muscle and it is inflamed, or
Mm-hmm.
muscle that's carrying a lot of spasm and a lot of lactate and what have you, because you get that immunomodulation,
Mm-hmm.
you get the lymphatics stimulated, you get the blood supply stimulated,
Mm-hmm.
but you've also got this reduction in inflammation as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I try and make these things as simple as possible. It makes tissues happy, isn't it? Just as
That's
how.
on a fundamental basis.
Hmm,
It makes tissue happy, but it makes cells happy.
it
It's
does.
working on a cellular level, and I just think that's just to have it packaged up like this. And I know that I can send this home with my customers,
Yeah,
and I'd say 90% of them go on to go and buy their own because they see the benefits of
yeah,
what's happening. It's
yeah,
pre-programmed. I know you cannot hurt your dog with this equipment. Now,
yeah.
there's always some things that kind of some caveats to that statement. So I'll say, if we've got a lumpy bumpy that we don't know what it is, let's not be Photizo in it. We don't want to be healing nasty things on a cellular level if it is a potential nasty thing. So if I've got oldies in and there's some lumpy bumpies that we haven't had biopsied yet, I tend just to stay away from them, because just to be on the safe side of
So
things.
you do give the Photizo, but you just stay away from lumps.
Yes,
Yeah,
unless
yeah,
if it's a fatty lump, I don't really like fatty lumps. The more you mess with them, the bigger they get, and then the bigger they get, then they can start impacting gait and stuff like that. So I tend to leave any lumpy bumpies alone, and cysts and things like that. But I'd say with the Photizo, I mean, it depends on what case I'm working on. If it's behavioural and we're just trying to build touch, it's bathing. I use a lot of bathing. we have to remember as well that dogs have lots of acupressure points all over them. And because we go from a continuous beam to a pulsed beam to continuous beam, all in one dosage.
Yeah.
Some dogs can manage the pulsed, but then it goes on to continuous and they go, whoa, too much. And they'll move themselves away. That's why, no dogs are tethered in my clinic. They don't even wear collars, everything off. As soon as they come into the room, everything off. So they have full agency to say, I need autonomy over my body. I'm now going to remove myself from this situation.
I think that's really important for people, because people may be watching this and going, "Oh, that looks quite easy, and we can't do any harm. I think I'll give it a go." But I think to emphasize the idea that have a conversation. Doesn't involve words. It just means you offer, and if they say, "Yeah, okay," then you introduce gently, as you would, a new friend, whoever. I think that idea of a conversation, as opposed to "you're getting your therapy right now," that's not how it works. It has to be a two-way street.
100%.
That you say, "Right, mate, we're going to try this. What do you think?" You don't even switch it on. You put it there. It's like, okay, it doesn't look like it's going to bite me. Fine. Then you maybe switch it on from a distance, and then you gradually introduce. And I mean, one of my dogs, Jet, he's a lurcher. He's about 3 years old now, and his hips are like this, and he will forever come and park his bum on your knee in order to be stroked there. So, surprise, surprise, they really know where they're sore, what they can tolerate. I think our job is to work out what you can add to the situation to reduce that inflammation. And you're not going to get there on the first day, on the first treatment. It's going to
Absolutely
be a
not.
question of just, if you're jumping in a swimming pool, climb in the shallow end,
Yes.
and walk out to the deep end,
Mm-hmm.
gently. That's my suggestion. Now, there was a message there saying, "What do you mean by bathe?"
Bathe. Okay, so I have my most well-behaved demo dog.
From Kim, by the way. Hello, Kim.
So when I talk about bathing and I talk about acute doses, so bathing, so it can start. So in my clinic, I have soft lighting. So at the moment, I'm under LED, like strip lighting. That's not what I work in. In clinic, I have much softer lighting in clinic.
Good.
It's because I'm
Yeah,
filming that
that's
I have this.
the right answer, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can start with bathing from literally across the room. What I'm trying to kind of build and instill in mine and the dog's communication and relationship is this turns on and it might move over here. It might move over here. Sometimes the light will go here and it'll look like this on the wall. And I'll look absolutely insane, but no more insane than usual, to be honest. And I just kind of explain to the pet parents, I'm just desensitizing. And basically, I want the dog to get bored. So, want them to get bored, and they go,
I say that a lot. Yeah, totally.
that's a bit weird. Okay, and then they'll kind of carry on, and I might have a snuffle mat out or some, paper for them to shred or something like that. And then it's when we go to, so some dogs, they can really cope with they have an aversion to intentional touch. So I could go to the dog, oh, he's a lovely little baby. They go, oh, yes, I do. And then as soon as I go to palpate, they're like, absolutely not. They can sense the shift. They sense the shift in intention. So it's the same with the Photizo. So I try and keep it as cool and loose as possible.
Yeah.
And then I'll get a little bit closer. And then I'm just bathing is anything from the other side of the room to being, like half a meter away to a few inches away to literally just hovering off the skin. And you can still see, even when I'm like this, because we have to remember pain makes you feel really unsafe. And I'm going, come into this slightly dark room where it smells like other dogs. I'm going to shine this light. And they're like, what on earth is this woman doing?
Weird.
Yeah, she's weird, but
Yeah.
they have to come to terms with it on their own timeline. So I'll just hold it here. And we're still working with the fascia, we're working with the skin, we're working within that proprioceptive bubble. You can see the fascia responding without even touching. So that's
Surprise,
it.
surprise, the
Mhm.
sun does it, and it's 93 million miles away. So, guys, let's
Yeah.
just suspend disbelief for 1 second, okay?
Mm.
Light is pretty clever stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, it all sounds a bit woo-woo, doesn't it? Until you
It
think, yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah.
the only thing that matters, he says, leaning out to see if he can see the sun, that's the only thing that matters, isn't it? And love, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
But without that orb in the sky,
Mhm.
which gives us photons,
Yeah.
it's the ultimate nutrition, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I talk about it as an energy transfer. So
Yeah,
we understand the sun makes the crops grow, the animals eat the crops, we then eat the animals. So we are constantly churning this energy going through lots of different levels.
yeah,
So to me, of course, the Photizo makes sense. And as well, the results speak for themselves from a behavioral perspective. I've got a dog that's coming off the ground, trying to eat my face. I'm like, oh, okay, let's just, let's get the Photizo on. And it's seeing them come down in real time
yeah,
and seeing them come down from the ceiling back down to earth again, allowing a dog safety, security, and space to reconnect with their body. Because what we have to remember, I always remind people of this, but dogs are the only domesticated animal that we decide when they go to the toilet.
ah, yeah,
Okay, so we have
hmm,
removed so much autonomy for them. So you think of your indoor cat; they have a litter box. They go when they want to. Guinea pigs poop freely. Ferrets
yeah,
poop freely.
yeah,
Birds, dogs don't. They
yeah,
have to wait until we decide they go to the toilet. And that's a
okay,
basic bodily function. So
yeah,
you have to remember that we have removed so much autonomy from their life. So in situations like therapy, where can we give them back autonomy? They opt in and out of treatment. I'm a
yeah,
really big one on consent-based treatment, especially
yeah,
because the dogs that come to me, a lot of the time they've had consent and agency removed in a situation, which when you're painful isn't ideal, but
yeah,
sometimes it has to happen. You got to do a blood draw. You got to do a blood draw.
yeah. No, that's a really great area. That I mean, the definition of freedom is that you have a degree of control of your life, isn't it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Not complete, because you're restricted by night and day and
Yeah.
gravity and
Hmm.
all these interesting things. But and your bladder and your bowel and your hunger and all those kind of things. I've never thought about that before. So if your therapeutics can give some degree of agency to your patient, that's
Builds
really
confidence.
that. You know what? I love that.
There you go.
I'm gonna be
Pinch it.
thinking about that. Yeah, bless you.
Take it. Take
I was
it.
gonna
Pinch it.
I was gonna pinch it anyway, but you just said it's okay. So and we've got, however many people listening. You heard it here, folks. It was her idea, and I'm gonna pinch it. Amazing. Um, um, just okay. So the people who are still with us, hello everybody. Um, they are the hardcore, and I'd like to just give them a little bit of science, okay? Because they're sticking around, and so you give me your favorite study that makes you go, oh wow, and I'll give you my favorite study that makes me go, oh my goodness,
Hmm.
and we'll share those with everybody who's watching.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
over to you.
So, I am a member of the International Association for the Study of Pain. Now, this is human focused, but a lot of human research is translatable through to our dogs. With the same on a cellular level. We're just put together differently, right? But I always have to caveat these things,
Okay.
because they're like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's not
yeah.
about dogs.
Okay.
But so, this is a quote from a research paper.
Yeah.
This is 2022. And specifically, I wanted to look at photobiomodulation and pain. Now,
I'm
so
just going to stop you there for one second. Photobiomodulation. Photo is light. Bio is things that are live. Modulation means changing. Okay.
yes.
So just make sure everybody's on the same page.
Oh, I thought you were asking me, and I was like,
No,
yeah,
no,
I think
no.
that's, I think that's it.
No, no, just make sure people may have heard photobiom and they go, "Oh my god, that's too
God,
many
what's she
syllables
talking
for me
about?
to digest in one day." So it's fine. It's basically using light to try and help.
Yes. Perfect. So,
Yeah, yeah.
there is I don't know how kind of deep to go with this. Right, basically, there is something
Go
called
as
the
deep as you like, because we're at the end of the show. So this is the deep dive for the crazies
deep dive. Who
who are
love this
still
stuff?
with us, who really want a little bit of some nuts and bolts.
Okay, so we have a mechanism in our body, in lots of different areas in the body,
Yeah,
something called the sodium potassium pump. Now, from a pain perspective, the sodium potassium pump is really important because when we have dysfunction in that area, it can be associated with chronic pain, muscle fatigue, and neuropathic disorders. So that sodium potassium pump is basically it's just an exchange of chemicals between cell layers. But anyway, we don't need to know about that bit. But this research paper found, I'm gonna read this quote because I can't remember it. Once absorbed, the photobiomodulation light will increase the porosity of the cellular membrane, allowing for a reabsorption of sodium ions and expulsion of potassium ions across the cellular membrane to rebalance the sodium potassium pump and, drumroll, remove the pain signal at source. So if you've got a sodium potassium pump that's not behaving itself,
yeah,
those nerves are going to be like, ah, which when we're painful is something that's going to be present. But
yeah.
using light, we bring it back into balance and remove the pain signal at source. Mic drop.
Okay, love it, love it, love it. I'm just going to translate that into Peter and Jane because that's the level at which I work. Basically, you've got a cell which is super, 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 super complex.
Mhm.
Think of your laptop
Mhm.
and multiply that by about a billion, and you're still not there. Okay, that's a cell.
Mhm.
However, it is a pretty simple thing in that it needs to be it needs to be it needs the stuff it doesn't want out of each cell, and it wants the stuff that it does want in the cell, and there's this constant spring cleaning. And what the light does is it helps with that spring cleaning
Mhm.
so that it can deal with all the extraordinary functions of which we mostly don't know, but
Yeah, yeah.
we know a whole lot, but nowhere near all. But one of them is just kind of cleaning things up, and when it's clean, you can get rid of all the gunk that you don't want, and
Mhm.
therefore, in inflammatory uh, um, um,
Pathways.
drifting towards that inflammatory, unhappy cell um, area is better because a cell which is functioning and is getting rid of the stuff that it doesn't want and it's importing the stuff that it does can keep itself in better order. And pain, it doesn't really want to be painful if it possibly can.
Mhm.
And so this is how the scientists are thinking that light can be, they can explain how just shining the special light in a special way on an area can actually realistically change pain reception. So that is super, super, super
How
cool.
cool is that? So cool. I
Okay.
was absolutely buzzing when I found that. Right, what's yours? What's your
Okay.
research?
My one is it's coming out a wee bit. So there's a guy called Glenn Jeffrey who's the nicest guy in light, and I'd love to get him on the show. What we're going to do, by the way, we're going to be doing a show every month for our friends at Photizo, and thank you to them for making this possible because it's just such a lovely conversation. Um, next, so in June the 2nd, about 5 o'clock on the same Facebook and what have you, we're going to be talking to Roger Meacock,
Nice.
who's a very clever vet who does a lot of energy work and he does a lot of light work within that. So we're going to be going heavy on the science, but that's something to look forward to in 4 weeks from today. That's the 2nd of June. And coming back, science, Imperial College, there's a guy called Glenn Jeffrey who's brilliant researcher, and one of his early, because this stuff is all very, very new, just in the last 10 years or so, and scientists go, oh my god, I never realized that was the case. Duh. But give them chance, they're scientists, they're not necessarily dog owners and what have you. But what they did is very simple. Glenn Jeffrey, he got a load of volunteers and he shone near infrared, about 660, 630 nanometer red light, which is just a posh way of saying it's a special red light, which is more or less out of the normal spectrum. Okay. And your body needs it, and we can go into that in other shows. But what he showed with a simple blood test was that just by shining this on people's backs for 15 minutes, you got a reduction in the blood glucose by 29%.
No.
I kid you not. Okay, because people will go, oh well, a bit of light on your skin, yeah, that's all very well, but it just measuring glucose, light, glucose, do. So that means for those individuals at that time, they were taking a step away from kind of pre-diabetes. Now, if that doesn't tell you that this is really, really big, I don't know what it is. And one of the massive things is that when you talk to the scientists, they go, oh, near infrared will only penetrate the epidermis for 4 to 9 millimeters or something like this. Well, actually, you guys, you've got the wrong end of the stick. Actually, it will penetrate. How does it change your blood glucose if which is working at a very deep level? We won't go into the details. How does it change your blood glucose with just 15 minutes of this light on your back? We've got a plumber in doing bathroom at the moment. So if you can hear
Only ever so slightly. No, it's fine. I was thinking when you were talking about because people kind of get a little bit het up about penetration depths of LED and near infrared, and I'm like, listen, right. I listened to an amazing lecture by Siobhan Menzies, who is
I was at college with her at Edinburgh. So
yeah,
Siobhan, if you're watching this, hello.
She's amazing. She does a great lecture on photobiomodulation, and she was talking about the penetration depths of light, and she said all of these tests are done on cadavers. They're not on living beings. So and I was like, oh, that's good. I'm gonna use that because we're using this on living tissue. I describe the nerves as like fiber optic wires that are gonna kind of like transport that goodness, that light to where it needs to go. So when people are like, oh, it's not going to go deep enough, I'm like, just let's just take a breath. Let's not overthink it. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the easiest, and actually it works. We're working with light. We're working with light.
We are.
Accept sunlight, except
and
for
we haven't got a clue. We haven't got a clue. I mean, is it a photon? Is it a particle, or is it a wave? There, I'll leave you that for
right. Okay.
Okay, we haven't got a clue, and people will talk about that forever. So there's a guy in Bath, which is just 10 miles down the road from me here. He's called Bob Fosbury, and he's an astrophysicist. Wouldn't that be nice to be able to say I'm an astrophysicist?
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. But he's really, really got into light. And I had a chat with him about a year ago, and he did a really crazy, simple experiment. I guess it was an experiment. Okay, so everybody says that near infrared will only penetrate 9 millimeters or something like this, because that's how they work it out. So he said, okay. And so he got a bright source of near infrared, which only penetrates. So what is 9 millimeters? 9 millimeters is about the distance across your pinky nail. All right, that's how far they say. And we'll try and get him on one of the shows before Christmas. And I will show you this photograph because he's allowed me to show it. So basically, it's where we go. Right, it's a picture of his hand. Okay, and this is the stuff that only goes 9 millimeters. And he put the source here of near infrared, which is the Photizo light essentially, and he took a picture from the top, and it was a point source, and he took a picture from the top of his hand using a near infrared, which the human light with its limitations can't see. And guess what? His entire hand, from the tips of his fingers to his wrist, glowed. The entire hand glowed. So it means that this near infrared was bombing around like a pinball machine, was going bump, 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 inside his hand, and eventually coming out at this at this level. So there you go. There's 2 experiments that I've showed you there, but I just want to try and give everybody why we're so excited. You're excited about it because it's practical and it's lovely, and and you can have this conversation. I'm excited about it because the physics is mad and the effects are mad, and it's easy, and it's just photobiomodulation is just it's like discovering gravity for the first time. It's like discovering, it's like Oppenheimer or or whoever discovering the atom. That's where we are with light, and that's what we're going to do on this show. We're going to shed light on all of this material. Listen, we because we've done it many times, we could talk about this stuff all afternoon. I just want to really thank you. Just tell us how people can get in touch and talk to you and find out more and learn from you. Yes, you're a fount of information. Tell us.
Thank you.
More.
So I'm most active on Instagram, which is yorkshire.pooches. You can find my website, which is yorkshirepooches.co.uk. There's heaps of free resources on there of all things to do with pain. And if you want to speak to me, you can drop me a contact form on my website,
which is yorkshirepooches.co.uk. Okay, good. You have to say it slowly because, with Yorkshire, we used to do an announcement when we would do it 3 times, and then there'd still be people on the chat going, "What's the website?" So listen, and I'm the same. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that really is interesting. I think I better write that down. People are a bit like that. Yaz, you're doing great work. Amazing. Yorkshire Pooches. Love it.
Thank you.
More power to you. More energy to you. All the best to you, to your dogs, to your lovely partner. We're going to be back on the show in 4 weeks with the lovely Roger Meacock. Check him out. And that's on the 2nd of June. I think it's a 5 p.m. show, and we're going to be having more in-depth chats about light and the truly revelatory science that's coming through. So looking forward to that. I want to really thank you.